Hey, this is Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling with Platinum versus Smackdown. This is from March 5th, 2021. In what can best be described as an uneven show, as we're moving into Fastlane and sort of SmackDown's trying to do something difficult, which is hold serve on one hand, making sure they preserve whatever they need to preserve for WrestleMania, meaning Sasha Banks is the women's champion to take on Bianca Belair, Roman Reigns as the champion to take on Edge. So everything feels like those angles feel like they're definitely spinning their wheels, buying time. And they've done a bunch of heel turns and swerves as of late, so they're having to honor all of that. So it was a very strange, uneven show, but let's just jump into it. So we're at Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida. Corey Graves welcomes us to the Thunderdome. Michael Cole is waiting with the mic. So we're going to get Daniel Bryan versus Jey Uso in a steel cage for tonight's main event, with Bryan earning a shot at Reigns at Fastlane if he wins. And then Bryan will have to acknowledge Reigns as the best wrestler on the planet and head of the table if he loses. Cole asks Bryan about tonight's main event. Bryan cuts a really great promo here. Really great promo. It's, again, what's the definition of a great promo? Stand and deliver elements of truth in there enough that you believe what they're saying. It's what Moxley is doing so well, maybe better than anybody right now. But Bryan does this great thing about how he's put everybody else first. Subtle allusion to the fact that he's writing a lot of this stuff, and he has booked himself to lose in order to try to put people over. It's very long segment. So at the long and short of it, we've got our match made. They promote Bianca Belair against Shayna Baszler, which is another match that should be really great, even if it is a bit of a foregone conclusion. And then we see how the Street Profits defeated Sami Zayn and King Corbin. Oh boy. So we got Montez Ford against King Corbin in a let's fill up the show kind of match. At the end of the day, King Corbin does win. Sami Zayn is already claiming that he helped him and all this kind of stuff. Angelo Dawkins runs and knocks Sami off of the apron and back to the floor. So, of course, we get Sami Zayn against Angelo Dawkins. And we knew we were going to get two things, a distraction and a roll-up win, and that's exactly what happens for Angelo Dawkins. Everything on this show, match-wise, has been incredibly sort of rote, pat, and predictable. Carmella approaches Reginald the Sommelier backstage. She accuses him of betraying her for obsessing over Sasha Banks. He says he's doing it all for her. She flips over the tray in his hand, spilling the champagne all over him. She fires him. She walks off. He looks shocked. Dominic Mysterio against Chad Gable. Hoi, hoi, hoi. They come out to the ring and go to commercial. Oh, I hate that convention for regular matches. The bell rings, they go at it. And then Dominic rolls Gable up for the 3 count is the long and short of it. After the match, Ray stops Otis from attacking, sending him into the edge of the announce table. Wow. They've abandoned the whole thing with Murphy and the whole thing with the daughter, Alia. It's just very strange. Everything's very strange. Speaking of Murphy, Caleb Braxton is backstage with Seth Rollins. Murphy shows up thinking he could assist Rollins with the Cesaro situation. Rollins tells Murphy to get out of his sight. What? He wants followers, but he doesn't want... Shayna Baszler against Bianca Belair. You can see what I mean. You can just hear me talking about this show and how uneven it is. It's a pretty good match here. Shayna Baszler does a good job of looking like she's putting a hurting on somebody, and Belair is selling appropriately. But this is definitely Belair's match to show off. She does so, she wins. After the match, Reginald tries to console Banks, who's still down. Reginald still pleading with Banks. God, why are they doing this stuff with them? She drops Reginald with a slap to the face. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's so beneath what Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair should be doing. Jey Uso's backstage with Roman Reigns. Reigns says the title is safe, putting more emphasis on this main event. The title is safe until WrestleMania if Jey can win, but if not, Reigns has to defend it as Fastlane, and that's fine. But if Jey loses, he not only embarrasses himself, he embarrasses his family. Not too much pressure here. Murphy against Cesaro. It's a good match. They don't get a lot of time for it, which is normally Smackdown gives the guys for the better matches time, but this one is definitely not the case. It's a squasharoo for Cesaro. Rollins watches and then applauds Cesaro. Reginald's backstage with his luggage. He's going to leave. He stops at Sasha Banks' locker room and knocks. She yells no to his face, slams the door. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler stops him. Baszler makes fun of him. Jax calms her down and asks Baszler to see what she sees. Reginald's kind of cute. We see a hype video for the IC champ Big E, as we should. Looking cool and looking badass. Big E's going to be back next week. I like that they're promoting him in that way. I think that's one of the positives on the show, most definitely. Cole plugs the new Heaven documentary on Heaven Fitch and the Goldberg at 54 documentary on Goldberg. They're going to be on Sunday on the WWE Network. Here comes Apollo Crews carrying a spear, wearing a scarf. He's a descendant of Nigerian royalty. He's a real African American. The men with him are real Nigerian elite guards. All this kind of stuff. Wow. Crews cuts a big long promo, and they've given him a gimmick. Basically, the long and short of it is he wants Big E for the IC title. Natalya and Tamina Snuka are backstage complaining to Adam Pearce about why Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair are getting the WWE Women's Tag Team title shots from Jackson Baszler. Pearce says, sorry, but that's the match that was made. DeVille can't help them. Okay. Kayla stops Jey Uso and asks him about the pressure. Jay's confident he's not sweating the cage. Daniel Bryan attacks and lays Uso out. That is interesting. Bayley is backstage for her Ding Dong Hello talk show segment. Okay, so we're doing that regularly again. Okay. She's doing a test run for the Sweet Tweets segment. She's reading the comments, but then the final comment, she stops and balls up the index card. It wasn't positive enough, and that's that. And then we get Daniel Bryan and Jey Uso. A good match, predictable finish, of course, that's okay. Daniel Bryan wins. Reigns is still sitting in his chair at ringside looking at Bryan's celebration. And we go off the air. No Kevin Owens, no a bunch of stuff that it seems like they were setting up. This is clearly all right, this is the direction we're moving for Fastlane and afterwards. So, again, a very uneven show. As long as SmackDown doesn't show signs of being like Raw, but it's beginning to creep in.